everybody. Welcome back. It is late Saturday night, almost Sunday morning, and I wanted to speak a little bit more about my announcement that I put on my community post about an upcoming series that I'm going to be sharing with you. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with a disclaimer. And then next up, we have, and let me get back up to it, because I was working on a different video and I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and announce this. Now let me just find where my start is. Excuse me for just a second. Nope, that's for the next video. Here we go. All right, guys. And this is just for my community, because I don't want anyone else to go out and start revealing this book to you or start reading it, since it's a series I want to work on. Book reveals Harry and Meghan's mutual addiction to drama. So the title of the book is Tina Brown's The Palace Papers, and it's inside the House of Windsor, The Truth and the Turmoil. And I'll show you what my thumbnails will look like whenever I'm covering the book. It's just going to be released this week, and I've already pre-ordered it, so I should receive it on its actual release date. It's quite an expensive book. I think it's, in some cases, it's going to be over $40, and it was $35, but then because of memberships that I have, I was able to get it for a little bit less. So, Royal Book reveals Harry and Meghan's mutual addiction to drama by Nikki Gostin. So page 6 is covering this book and sharing a little bit about it. So inside her new book, The Palace Papers, Tina Brown exposes the turmoil of the royal family, including Prince Harry and wife Meghan Markle's mutual addiction to drama. Palace sources report that the preparation for the Sussex union was all drama all the time. Tina Brown writes in this new book, The Palace Papers, Inside the House of Windsor. So it's going to be out on Tuesday. Meghan's MO was seen as reviving or revving up Harry when she sensed any obstruction. So if she wasn't getting her way, things weren't going the way she wanted, according to this, that's when she would work on Harry so that he would, go out and make things happen for her. There was the now infamous spat with the Queen's trusted dresser and confidant, Angela Kelly, over which tiara Markle would get to wear, prompting Harry to bellow, "Whatever Meghan wants, Meghan gets." And who can forget Markle's dust-up with her future sister-in-law, Kate Middleton, reportedly over tights for the Flower Girls that ended with, depending on who's telling the story, either Middleton or Markle, or both in tears. I think this is going to be a 5-star book. It's definitely going to rise to the bestsellers. And I think the fact that it's written by a woman and she's been the editor of so many different papers and magazines, that we're going to get to see it from a woman's side. And sometimes it's often better. I'm sorry, I've got some of my famous or favorite authors are actually women. Brown writes that a palace source divulged there was a lot of raging and one person shouting in front of other members of staff, basically in front of too many people, which is why it all started to come out. Insiders say that while on the surface Harry and Meghan's wedding was blissful, behind the scenes things were fraught. It was awful. The book also delves into other members of the firm, including Charles, Diana, Camilla, William, Catherine Middleton, and whom Brown believes would never have married the heir to the throne if it wasn't for her socially savvy mother. Prince Andrew and his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein are also examined, with Brown dismissing the disgraced Duke of York's as a corneted sleaze machine. Brown looks at William and Harry's difficult childhood and how their parents' frequent arguments and their mother Diana's obvious unhappiness affected them. Harry once beat on his father's legs with his little tiny fist, yelling, "I hate you, I hate you, you make mommy cry." See, there were a lot of things that Diana did that were not healthy for her boys, and that actually I think affects Harry still to this day because of things that she allowed him to see, but he was too young to understand, and she didn't fully explain both sides. Harry found it tough at Eton. Perhaps the most famous school in England was founded in 1440 by Henry VI. Grieving after Diana's shocking 1997 death in a Paris car crash, he struggled academically. As a teenager, the prince, Brown writes, regularly got into fist fights that turned up physical, ending up on crutches after kicking in a window during a dispute with another student over a girl. Eventually, Brown writes he was drinking too much, and there was evidence that temperamentally Harry was a human IED. After a gap year spent part in Australia and South Africa, he enrolled at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, in 2005. Most everyone around the prince, Brown writes, agrees that the army saved Harry from going off the rails. And I think in his memoirs he's going to talk about how he was forced to go into it, but I think the family had no other choice. They saw that maybe that was the best fit to give him some discipline away from them, where he learned to manipulate them all. But after leaving the military, he was acting belligerent, carousing all night, and unhappy with his royal duties. He met the beautiful model and actress Cressida Bonus through his cousin Eugenie in May 2012. And he also met Chelsea, and I believe that's how he met Meghan. The daughter of an Earl, Bonus was of his world but not obsessed with it, Brown writes. A beauty but not a preening one, with a bludgeoning career as an actress on stage and TV after leaving the University of Leeds. Among friends and family, there was a general agreement that Miss Bonus had all the makings of a perfect partner for Harry, who was madly in love with her, but Bonus reportedly grew weary of the prince's volcanic temper. Friends expected Harry would wed Bonus, but she ended the relationship because of the stress that he caused her. One New Year's Day, the couple went to a local pub with a family for a meal when an elderly man approached them and asked to take a photo of him for his ailing wife. Bonus was about to say yes when Harry reddened and barked, "Get out of my way!" Without his army mates to cut him down to size, his sense of entitlement was completely out of control. His outbursts were ever more frequent and childlike, Brown says of the prince. Harry later admitted that he took up boxing during this time because he was always on the verge of punching someone. Harry's habitual mood, Brown writes, was increasingly truculent as the prince constantly vented about his brother William and father Charles. He felt perennially aggravated by the power wielded by his stepmother Camilla, who made him feel like a visitor at Highgrove. Well, I think she didn't want somebody coming in there acting like a petulant child, a teenager, and destroying a home that they were building for themselves. He has to understand that at some point he has to grow up and can't do whatever he wants to do. Things were so strained, Harry mostly communicated with his father through private secretaries. Sources believe joining the military saved Harry from going off the rails. He was particularly upset when the future king sent a message through his office asking his son what he would like for his 30th birthday, perhaps another dinner jacket. A tailor was dispatched to take Harry's measurements, and when it arrived, one arm was shorter than the other, so it was picked up and returned in a box, which seemed kind of analogous to his whole relationship, i.e. no communication, and when there was, it went wrong. Brown reveals how Bonus eventually pushed Harry to get help. Cressida began to have serious worries about his mental health, the author writes. It was she who first persuaded Harry to see a therapist, but it was too late. Friends were expecting an engagement announcement, but after 2 years with Harry, Bonus had no intention of becoming a royal. Ultimately, the intense focus on Harry's problems to the exclusion of her own was much too much for Cressida, Brown writes. When they broke up in 2014, according to the book, Harry penned his ex sweet letter saying, "I admire you, I wish you well, above all, and thank you for helping me to address my demons and seek help." The 31-year-old prince was convinced he was going to be single for the rest of his life until he laid eyes on Markle in July 2016, who I believe was also set up by Eugenie. When they met at London's Soho House that summer, Harry was lonely. He wanted to start a family, and although that he had been spotted weeks before dirty dancing with a pair of brunettes and down in shots at Jake's Bar in West London, Markle felt similarly adrift. Her show suits was winding down. She had been about to turn 35, and her boyfriend, Canadian chef Corey Viatello, had decided he wasn't ready for marriage, even if she was. So perhaps it was no surprise that things moved fast. After 2 dates, the prince whisked the actress off to Botswana to stay in a $2,000 a night deluxe tent at Goina Safari Camp. Harry came back over the moon. William asked, however, was skeptical. Every time his brother fell in love, it was an eruption of Vesuvius, Brown writes. You do realize this is the fourth girl you've taken to Botswana, he couldn't help remarking after Harry's starry-eyed account of the trip. Although William didn't initially voice all of his concerns, he was nervous about the speed at which this was going down. The older brother worried that Markle would be giving up everything she knew in the U.S. and move to a country where she had little understanding of British culture. That was the concern, that Harry's mental fragility was such that he wouldn't be strong enough to handle all of that on her behalf, as well as his own issues. So this all makes perfect sense of why he was worried. He's thinking, wow, this is really going to be tough, and Harry already has enough time dealing with himself and his rage. Prince Charles, meanwhile, was charmed by Meghan in her first encounter. A lunch at his Highgrove residence where the two foodies bonded over homegrown Charlotte potatoes and apple strawberries. It wasn't hard for Charles to be delighted by a beautiful woman who seemed fascinated by everything he had to say. This is part of her charm. This is what she does. She can be very engaging and very charming, and she especially knows how to make those eyes at a man to make him think that she's focusing on no one else. But, Brown writes, within months of Harry's involvement with Meghan, he reportedly told his father that his younger brother's obsession with her was like something I've never seen. William's wariness soon spread throughout the palace as Markle's promise to hit the ground running filled the institution with dread. Once married, insiders say Harry and Meghan's thought that they would operate in the celebrity stratosphere once inhabited by Princess Diana. See, she had this plan from the beginning. Even before the engagement, she seemed to think that everyone in the shared office of William, Kate, and Harry was now like hers to call in, Brown notes. What the palace saw as her willful blindness to institutional culture was a direct clash with Meghan's worldview. Harry, who had always chafed at the hierarchy himself, was the last person to tell her to slow down, Brown surmises. They were both now drunk on a shared fantasy of being the instruments of global transformation who, once married, would operate in the celebrity stratosphere once inhabited by Princess Diana. Meghan couldn't and wouldn't bide her time to get there. She was just in an all-fire hurry. And the palace and its inhabitants were not used to the way Markle allegedly treated staff. Now, they may say, well, we weren't used to her because she was American. I don't think that's it. I think it was the way she became so forceful and just wanted to take over those offices. At Eton, Harry's temper got him into trouble and fights. William and Kate were allegedly shocked by the way Meghan treated their shared employees, Brown writes. A typically uncomfortable incident had taken place during the rollout of the wedding plans when I was told Meghan yelled at a junior employee who held an announcement back because it clashed with something scheduled with the household of another senior royal. So here's something Meghan once put out in the press, and the person that worked there was like, we don't announce and overlap things when another senior royal is doing something. So there she got yelled at. An insider declined to label it as bullying behavior, but added that I certainly never heard of a member of the royal family talking like that to a member of their staff. Harry was dispatched to talk to his fiancée, who subsequently apologized, but contrition became increasingly rare. I guess after that, it was like there was no apologies. Later, the couple's first big royal tour, a 16-day excursion across Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji in October 2018, was met with glowing reviews and rapturous crowds. But, Brown writes, Harry and Meghan were not happy. She apparently hated every second of it. She found the itinerary of engagements pointless, a former palace employee told me. The new Duchess' aggrieved mood affected her husband, who was, in turn, grumpy and glowering. with reporters and photographers that he once was friendly with. And you know that there were some of was it Dickie Arbiter that said that he always loved Harry, that Harry was very engaging and would sometimes come out and talk to them or go have a drink with them, and would be his fun self. But from that moment on, when Meghan was on that tour with him, it wasn't to be the same. In January 2020, the Sussexes pulled the trigger and announced that they were quitting the royal family. But Brown writes, getting their way turned out to be a shock. They thought it would force the royal family to respond by saying, "Okay, Harry and Meghan, what do you want? We're going to give you what you want." Brown quotes an insider as saying, instead, after the turmoil, the royal family shut the door. "Okay, that's what you want? That's it," said a former advisor. Harry and Meghan were really stunned by this. So see, they couldn't believe what was happening because they thought they would get their way. They had always gotten it before. The book that I'm going to be reading to you is authored by Tina Brown. She's a New York Times best-selling author, and she is also an author of the Diana Chronicles. The book that I'm going to read is called The Palace Papers, Inside the House of Windsor, The Truth and the Turmoil. So I think this is going to be very good. She's an award-winning writer, editor, and founder of Woman in the World Summit. And then she was also editor of Tatler, Vanity Fair, The New Yorker, and her 2007 biography of the Princess of Wales, The Diana Chronicles, topped the New York Times best-selling list. In 2008, she founded the Daily Beast, the Vanity Fair Diaries. Her memoir covering the years she edited that magazine was published in 2017. She now lives in New York City. So I think we're going to get a woman's take on the after talking to the staff, which I think we get a little more of inside scoop. I think sometimes men are less emotional than women are, so we can dig deeper and pick up on things that people are saying and kind of read behind the lines of what people you're interviewing are saying. So I've ordered the book, and it's supposed to arrive on Tuesday the 26th, which is actually its release date because I had pre-ordered it. Hard copy is like $35, I think, over in the UK and other places. If you can even get it, it's going to be, in the 40s, mid-40s or so. But, definitely I'm getting a discount because I'm using my Amazon Prime. I'm really excited. So I want you to please give me a thumbs up, make a comment, and if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Set your bell to all. I'm not sure how much I'm going to put this on social media. I kind of think I want to keep it quiet and let the people who regularly view me or subscribe to me be able to hear the excerpts that I'm going to be reading and enjoy the book, and maybe just not publicize that, but I'll still be doing my regular videos as well. But this will be the thumbnail that I will use. So when you see this thumbnail, and I may put part 1 or chapter 1, etc., so that you will know that I'm going to be reading from the book. Just don't want to put the whole title out there because I would like for this to be exclusive for my viewers and something that we can enjoy together. So let me know in the comments if this is something that you're going to be looking forward to. And I'll be back because I have another video to record. Thank you all. Have a great day, everyone.